Welcome to dNAxt. We are discussing class C subnetting. Next is /26. /26, that means 26 bits are for the network. Out of 26, 24 bits are of the major network. Okay, 2 bits are the subnetwork bits and remaining 6 bits are of the host. Okay, if we convert this into subnet mask, /26 into subnet mask will be 255.255.255.192. Okay, how many subnetworks we will get over here? When we borrow 2 bits from the host, we get 2 to the power 2. क्योंकि 2 to the power x is the formula and number of subnetwork bits are 2. We have borrowed 2 bits over here, /26. So 2 to the power 2, that means we are dividing major network into 4 subnetworks. How many hosts per subnetwork? 2 to the power y, 2 to the power 6, that is 64. And as we have already discussed in the previous video, we always subtract 2 IP addresses, one for network ID, another for the broadcast ID. So actually we will get 62 host IP addresses. And what will be the valid subnetwork or valid subnet? What will be the increment in the fourth octet? 256 minus subnet bit value, that is 192. So we will get increment of 64 over here. So we will start with the given IP address, that is 192.168.1.0/26, 192.168.1.64. Increment will be in the fourth octet only. Increment will be in the fourth octet. Why? Because we have borrowed the bits in fourth octet. We do the increment in that octet from where we have borrowed the bit, and the amount of increment is calculated by using formula 256 minus subnet bit value, that comes out 64 in this case. So increment is of 64 in the fourth octet. So 192.168.1.0, 192.168.1.64. 193rd valid subnet will be 192.168.1.128, 64 plus 64, 128, and the last subnet will be 192.168.1.192, because 128 plus 64 is 192. So these are the 4 subnetworks we will get when we borrow 2 bits in class C, that is /26. These are the 4 subnetworks. Let's discuss about them in detail. So these are the 4 subnetworks that we are going to get. First is 192.168.1.0, 192.168.1.64, 192.168.1.128, and 192.168.1.192. Okay, these are all the network IDs for our subnetwork. All 4 subnetwork के ये क्या हो गए? Network ID. अभी इसके बाद we will write broadcast IDs for all these subnetwork. So that is 192.168.1. नेक्स्ट सब नेटवर्क का जो नेटवर्क आईडी है उसका प्रीवियस आईपी एड्रेस विल बी द ब्रॉडकास्ट आईडी ऑफ द फर्स्ट सब नेटवर्क. तो नेक्स्ट का नेटवर्क आईडी इज 192.168.1.64. इसका प्रीवियस आईपी एड्रेस विल बी 192.168.1.63. 64 के पहले 63, so that is its broadcast ID. So first sub network की range क्या है? From 192.168.1.0 से लेके 192.168.1.63. लेकिन these two IP addresses are reserved, one for network ID and other for broadcast ID. So the first valid host that we will get over here is 192.168.1.1 and 192.168.1.62. I'm sorry, 62 इसका previous. So this is your first valid host and this is your last valid host. Okay, next subnetwork में first valid host will be 192.168.1.65. Okay, and इसका broadcast ID will be 192.168.1.127. So इसका last valid IP address will be the previous one, 192.168.1.126. Okay, और यहाँ पे अभी first valid IP will be 192.168.1.129. Broadcast ID is the next network ID का पहले का ID. So 192.168.1.191. Okay, और इसके पहले का will be your last valid host, 192.168.1.190. इसका broadcast ID will be 1.255 and last will be 192.168.1.254 और first valid ID 192.168.1.193. Correct? So when we borrow in /26 of class C, we are borrowing 2 bits from the host and hence we are getting 4 subnetwork with the increment of 64. Okay? Stay tuned with dNAxt. Thank you.